All right, everybody. Welcome to the Contextual Christian Church Bible Study, where today we're going to read Isaiah chapter 41, verses 1 to 14. I'm going to pray it in. Everybody, bow your heads. Father, thank you for getting us up on this day for another Bible study. As we get into this part of Isaiah, I pray that we have another another good Bible study, one just as good as the one we had yesterday. We got a lot of context we had the other day, and with this one, I pray that we talk more about your glory, your power, what you mean compared to the rest of the rest of existence itself. In Jesus' name, Amen.
Amen. All right, so last time what we had gotten into was, well, first of all, let me say God is amazing because we just had to kick somebody off because they couldn't accept that if you're going to say something is a fact, it has to be actually fact and not fiction. And what we got into last time, ironically, had to deal with the same thing because the subject matter as a whole was the same thing throughout the entirety of it. We finished up chapter 40 of Isaiah. And the entire subject matter of it was about God's dominance and nothing compares to him. No nation, no other gods, nothing. And that was the context of it. But I do have to point out one detail because we had one of the most used for the conspiracy theory of flat earth. One of the most used verses was in this section as well, in verse 22, where it said that it is he, speaking about God, that sitteth upon the circle of the earth, and the habitation thereof and the inhabitants thereof are as grasshoppers. In other words, the people living there, they ain't nothing but insects. He's the one who sits on the circle of the earth. He's the one who sits above it all. But continuing on, that stretch out the heavens as a curtain. And they take this out of context by itself and say, see, it says he sits upon the circle of the earth. That means the earth is flat. A circle is not a 3D object. And it says the heavens are as a curtain. Another word for the word curtain is as a veil. It said the heavens as a veil. No, it didn't say that the heaven is a veil. It said he stretched out the heaven as a curtain, as a veil. That means he stretched it out in the same way that it gets stretched out. And then it says, and spread them out as a tent to dwell in. We're dwelling in it. It's all around us, all around the earth. So when we saw the context of the verse, we found out that when it talks about circle, when it talks about the curtain, when it talks about these things, it's not talking literally. These are metaphors for the way they're moved or where he's located. It's not literally saying a circle. Another word for the definition for a circle is circuit or circumference or the surrounding. So we got, ironically, right after having to kick somebody out for false information spreading when it comes to conspiracy theories, we got the exact verse, one of them at least, and we're able to debunk through context that that's not saying what they want it to say. But they want it so bad. So really, if I was to break down what yesterday's Bible study was about, I'd actually wouldn't break it down as God displaying his power, showing his dominance. That's not what I would explain it as. Because the way God worked and his timing of everything, I don't think that was the point of yesterday. I think the point of yesterday was just like how the debunk happened with that person, it also happened with those who believe in a flat earth period, trying to use this out of context, that we are required to get context. And I think because of the timing of everything, I think that also goes to prove the point not to worry about the person being gone because they were going to be gone regardless. Even if it didn't happen that day before, it was going to happen here. because it would have brought it up whether we wanted to or not. So, now for the main focal point of the context for the sake of the Bible study, I'll repeat one more time. We were dealing with God's dominance and how nothing compares to him. And I'll read the last verse just to make sure it's more focused intently from 29 to 31. He giveth power to the faint, and to them that have no might, he increases strength. Even the youths shall faint and be weary, and the young man shall utterly fall. But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. So the ones who are not trusting in God, they all feel faint. They all feel it. But for those that trust in God, they don't have to worry about growing so wearisome of everything because God is going to take care of them for those that do wait on God. So now today we'll get started in chapter 41 as we start a whole new chapter, and we'll see if it connects to the last chapter as I'll switch it to our first section so our first reader can read. And go ahead, Charles, when you're ready.
All right. I'll be reading Isaiah chapter 41, verses 1 to 5. Verse 1. Keep silence before me, O islands, and let the people renew their strength. Let them come near. Then let them speak. Let us come near together to judgment. Who raised up the righteous man from the east, called him to his foot, gave the nations before him, and made him rule over kings? He gave them as the dust to his sword, and as driven stubble to his bow. He pursued them and passed safely, even by the way that he had not gone with his feet. Who hath wrought and done it, calling the generations from the beginning? I, the Lord, the first, and with the last, I am he. The isles saw it and feared. The ends of the earth were afraid, drew near and came. Starting off because of how the last chapter ended, how we started here, verse 1 sounds like a connection with verse 31. Actually, 29, 30, 31. Sounds like one still continuing with it. Also,
Let me double check.
you got it.
You said that one is part of it?
It sounds like one is connected with 31, 30, and 29. It sounds like the ending statement to what started in 29 of the last chapter.
You sure? I think you're making the mistake of having a couple words be the same, but not looking at the direct point. What's the direct point of one?
Keep silence before me, O islands, and let the people renew their strength. Let them come near, then let them speak. Let us come near together to judgment.
So is that more so about the people renewing their strength, or is that more so about the islands and telling them not to do anything?
More so about the islands, tell them not to do anything.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
So do you get why
What
you
I,
slipped up?
because of the renew their strength and let the people
Exactly.
renew their strength.
Exactly. You had the phrase that was the same phrase from the last one, and you heard that when you were reading it and said that, and you saw that was the same, so you assumed they were the same. but the point behind them is different. In the last section, we are reading about that the ones that don't wait on the Lord are going to be faint, they're going to be weak, they're going to be weary, but the ones that do wait on the Lord are going to be fine. But in verse 1, we're not talking about the ones who are going to, even if we were to take those words and what it means by those words, what is the meaning of saying their strength? Is it claiming that they have strength?
Sorry, I was muted. It's just they're not really claiming that they're having strength, just letting them regain what they might have lost. But it's not saying if they had it or not, just to regain what was
Exactly.
lost.
But what was said in the last verse?
That those that believed in them would get strength. They would have the. I made the joke, the Red Bull thing, but those that believe in God would have the strength. God's gonna give them that strength. God's gonna give them, make sure that they're
Exactly.
not faint.
Not that they're going to renew, not that they're going to gain, but that they have that strength, that they won't grow weary. Do you see what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
if we
I
take
see what you're
that
saying.
phrase by itself in the way it's used in one, it's expressing a need to renew the strength. But do you need to renew the strength if you haven't become faint at all?
No, there's nothing to renew if you haven't been faint.
Do you see what I'm saying? So it's not even talking about the same subject, unless we're going to call a contradiction into purpose.
So yeah, this would be because of that. It would be a new section because of that, but because of the rest of my verses, it sounds the above all point is still being made in his sarcasm in my section.
Yeah. Yep.
Matter of fact, not just the above all, but the overall is still the above all and the overall still the same, even though we have a new section.
Yes. I would say you're right. All right. Now let's go into so then what would the sections be then?
Verse one, section one. Verse three threw me off. Let me read two. Who raised up the
Mm,
righteous man from the east, called him to his foot, gave the nations before him, and made him rule over kings. He gave them as the dust to his sword, and as driven stubble to his bow. He pursued them and passed safely, even by the way that he had not gone with his feet. Okay, so when you're talking about when he pursued and passed safely, you're talking about when God brought up the who brought up the righteous man. God brought up that righteous man, gave him the
mhm.
nations, made him rule over the kings. God also made sure that this same person passed over safely and went to places that his feet didn't touch yet. That's what verse 3 is saying. It's connected with 2. 2 and 3 are connected. So that's a section. 2 and 3 is the second section. Then I got 4. Oh, 4 and 5 is the section too. So I have 1 is one section, 2 and 3 second section, 4 and 5 third section.
Mm-mm. Nope. You're right about the one. You're wrong about the four and five. What is the it in four?
Who hath wrought and done it, calling the generations from the beginning. On verse 4, after that comma, isn't calling the generations from the beginning the it?
Mm-hmm. So in five, is there any generations being called?
No. So so the way verse 5 starts off, the isle saw it, and it just left it at it. And I'm like, okay, so the isle saw it in fear. It didn't add
Mm-hmm.
a after that comma. It just said in fear. Well, saw what? So I went back to verse 4, and I'm like, oh, that has that. I was thinking that had to be what the it was.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, it was faint. Was that a no?
I said, yes,
Okay.
4 separate. Because when we're reading in 2 and 3, what are we reading about?
We're reading about that righteous man that God set up.
Exactly. But when we get to 4, what are we reading about?
God, who did all this? Who did this? When you talk about calling from the generations, who from the beginning? Who set all this up from the beginning till now? God. I'm the one that did it. I'm the
Exactly.
first and the last. I'm the Alpha and the Omega, above space time continuum.
Hmm.
But the way I explained five earlier, when you said, I thought you were, I was saying it as in I thought the isle saw it. I thought the it was calling the generations from the beginning.
Yeah.
So they're separate then, so or they're not the section? Because I had them as a section, not a separate set. Not four is a
I
separate, and
already
five is a
told you it
separate.
was wrong, didn't I?
You
I
said it
said your
was wrong,
problem is
but
4 and 5.
so now I need. So how is it wrong? Is now that's my question.
Because you said they were a section.
Right.
They can't be a section. Because what's the point of 5?
So the point of five, the isle saw it in fear. I when I read that, I took the it as I went back to the verse before and said, calling the generations from the beginning.
No, it's not just that. Okay, so the problem is you're connecting one part. What happened in 2 and 3?
Him doing the setting up the righteous man.
Hey, sets up the righteous man. Then in 4, brings up about how he called the generations from the beginning. Then it goes into saying the isle saw it and feared. You're assuming that the isle seeing it is only of 4. You said it's about 4. I was like, well, yeah, it is about 4. I didn't understand what you were saying. That's my mistake. I thought you meant like 4 is part of it. Yeah. Yeah, the isle saw it means the whole thing. Unless we get something to separate. And the reason that we know that is because the first thing that pops up in verse 1 is telling the islands to keep silent and don't get in the way. And then what happens in 2? We
God
got
talking
one.
about yeah. Go ahead.
Well, no, no, no. It's not. What's happening in 2 is not the details of it. It's the point he's doing. What's the point of 2?
The point to us to tell us that he set this up. He's the power that did it.
Exactly. What's the point of 3?
He set that. He has the power to do that. He's the one that made sure that
Exactly.
happened.
And what's in 4?
Again, he's the one. He's the power. He's the one that set this up.
So in 2 through 4, 2 and 3 are connected. 4 is not. But if we look at the main point of what's happening in 2 through 4, I mean, the overall point, not the above all, but the overall point is God is the one who sets up everything. Then it goes into 5 and says the isles saw it and feared. So if we're going up about the fact of it saying the isles saw it, well, it just made a list of 3 things. 2 of them connected, one not. But it just made that list. So why would we only assume that 4 is part of the it, rather than the it being God's establishing of everything in history as a whole, using these 3 parts as examples?
I see. Because of my section, I just used two, three, and four, and I was labeling that as the it rather than I made that the it. I assumed that was the it when there could be more.
Huh? That's not what you did for at all. You said the calling of generations was the it in 5. The
Right?
calling of the generations is the it in 4. It's not the it in 5. Just because it's the same word it doesn't mean it's the same thing.
So I said the wrong thing then. Again, I got it. Got it. I said the wrong thing because I got the it right in 4, but I didn't get it right in 5.
Yeah, there you
That's
go.
why I got it wrong. That's why I got it. That's what I was trying to figure out why I got it wrong. Okay, good. I got it wrong because of that. I got the it wrong.
Yeah. No, no, it's not that you got the it wrong. Your first part of your mistake was assuming that the it is the same thing just because it's the same word it.
And
It
I
was
see
your
what I did
assumption
to
that
it.
made it
Yeah.
wrong.
And I think I told you earlier, and I did. The assumption came from after the it in verse 5 with the comma and feared. It didn't. It just they had a semicolon. Then it said the ends of the earth were afraid, drew near and came. So I went back to figure out. So what was that it? And I went back to 4. So yeah, that's how I assumed.
Yeah.
That's how I made the mistake.
Yep.
So they're separate verses. Got it.
Yep. All
All
right.
right.
So
So
go ahead with your explanation.
first verse. Keep silence before me. Oh, islands. This is God. Keep silent before me. And that these people that need to renew let them renew their strength. Obviously, because they lost their strength. So let them recover, in other words. Let them come near, let them come together. Leave them alone, in other words. Next one. Second section. 2 and 3 is just God is talking about how I'm the one that raised up that righteous man for him to be the ruler, for him to be the king. It's my power that set this up. It's my power for him to be the ruler. It's my power that let him do these things, to go to these different lands safely, to conquer, to do this and do that. I'm the one that set this up. God is the one that set this up. He even talks about it in verse 4. I'm the first and the last. I was there from the beginning. Matter of fact, here, let me say this. I am the beginning. I'm the beginning and the end. God was there from the beginning. He will be there in the end. He's above space, time, and continuum. That's verse 4. Sorry. Verse 5. Verse 5 is just talking about the islands are seeing it and they're fearing. They're just being afraid of what they're seeing, what they saw. Terrified. Yeah.
All right.
That's all I got.
That's it?
That's all I got.
Nothing else you want to add at all?
Other than well, I already brought up earlier the overall house. We still sound like we're talking about God being
No, it's
the
not
one
the
that has the power
overall
to
you're
do that.
missing.
Um,
There's a couple standout things about the points that are being made here that should catch your attention.
it's not catching my attention at the moment.
All right, I'll give you a hint, and I'll give you a little bit of time to try to figure it out. It has to do with 2 and 3. Actually, and 4, but 4 separately.
For separately.
And it's a very
Who
big deal.
raised who raised up the righteous man from the east, called him to his foot, gave the nations before him, and made him rule over kings. He gave them as the dust to his sword, and as driven stubble to his bow. He pursued them and passed safely, even by the way that he had not gone with his feet. Give me some seconds. Give me some
Hmm.
seconds.
I told you I'd give you some time.
Yeah. Give me some seconds. On the notes. Just talked about this. Let me find it. The verse 4, not sure, but the righteous man from the east. I think that's what I'm missing.
For the 2 and 3, yes. It does have to do with that.
Man. No, that ain't it. That's not Ah, man, I don't think I can find it in time. Ah.
I'll give you about 30 more seconds to try to figure it out.
It has to do with something we had just talked about recently.
Nope, not recently.
It wasn't recently?
Nope. It's been a while.
Oh, then no, never mind. I was looking for something from my recent notes. I was going through my recent notes. If it's been a while,
No.
then no, I don't got it.
All right. Go to Matthew chapter 2 and read verse 1 to 9.
Give me a second. Matthew
Mm-hmm.
chapter 2, verses 1 to 9. All right. I'm going to read this. Matthew chapter 2, verses 1 to 9. Now, when Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of Herod the king, behold, there came wise men from the east to Jerusalem, saying, where is he that is born, King of the Jews? For we have seen his star in the east, and are come to worship him. When Herod the king had heard these things, he was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. And when he had gathered all the chief priests and scribes of the people together, he demanded of them, he demanded of them where Christ should be born. And they said unto him, in Bethlehem of Judea, for thus it is written by the prophet, and thou, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, art not the least among the princes of Judah. For out of thee shall come a governor that shall rule my people Israel. Then Herod, when he had privately called the wise men, inquired of them diligently what time the star appeared. And he sent them to Bethlehem and said, go and search diligently for the young child. And when ye have found him, bring me word again, that I may come and worship him also. When they had heard the king, they departed. And lo, the star which they saw in the east went before them, till it came and stood over where the young child was. Let me start writing notes down.
Do you get the connection now?
Let me go back to what we was reading, because I already forgot what we. Who raised up the righteous man from the east? Got it. Let me go back to Matthew and write this down. The
Mhm.
righteous man in the east. Because I didn't think of Matthew, or because I didn't even remember Matthew, I'm thinking this is a prophecy. This isn't just some random metaphor to show his power. Verse 5, and they said unto him in Bethlehem for of Judea, for thus it was written by the prophet. This is more than just this is a prophecy.
This isn't that prophecy.
You said this isn't that prophecy?
No, it just said the prophet in Bethlehem of Judea, right?
Hmm.
Did it say anything about Bethlehem and Judea here in what we're reading today?
Not in what we're reading today.
So that's not the part. What we're reading today is prophecy, but that's not the part that's the prophecy showing. We didn't read that at all here.
No, what we read was the righteous man from the east.
Exactly. And how does that correlate to Matthew 2?
Didn't I just read something? I just read it about the east.
Mm-hmm.
So verse 1 was talking about the wise man that came from the east. that is born King of the Jews. For we have seen his star in the east and are to worship him. Go back to what we're reading, because I thought the righteous man from the east, I thought that was a star from the east.
There you go. That's the part.
Oh, so did I say it wrong? I said it wrong earlier.
Oh yeah, way wrong. You brought
Sorry.
up how in Matthew. Let me finish.
No, yeah.
You
Go ahead,
said
go ahead.
you said in Matthew it says as the prophet says. Where did the prophet say Bethlehem, Judea in this verse that we're reading today?
And the it doesn't.
So you took the fact of it being a prophetic word, it's prophesying, but then you twisted it by taking the quoted prophetic word, which is from a whole different chapter. You see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying.
Just because what we're reading today is prophecy does not mean that the prophetic word listed in Matthew is that prophecy. They're two separate things. Because the part that's prophecy here in Isaiah is the fact that the righteous man, he's come from the east. And where was the star that shows where he's at? The star came up in the east. It's that correlation that shows it's prophetic. And let me not say different chapter because I don't know if it's in this chapter. Maybe the prophetic speech is in this chapter. If so, that would be kind of funny. But I'm pretty sure it was in a different one. But we'll find out as we go through the chapter. So that's the first one that you missed, was from 2 and 3. Now, there's something in 4 that also correlates to the New Testament that you missed. I'll give you about 30 seconds. All right. You got it?
No.
All right. Next one we're going to then. You're going to Revelation chapter 21. Verse 6. And then we'll read 22, verse 13. But
Say the chapter again.
the
Revelations.
first part we're reading, because it goes to two parts of the first part that we're reading. In chapter 21,
21,
in verse 1 to 6.
1 to 6. Revelations 21, verse 1. And I saw a new heaven and a new earth. For the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, Behold, the tabernacle of God is with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and God himself shall be with them and be their God. And God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there's no more death, neither sorrow, nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away. And he that sat upon the throne said, Behold, I make all things new. He said unto me, Write, for these words are true and faithful. And he said unto me, It is done. I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. I will give unto him that is at thirst of the fountain of the water of life freely. I just made this joke.
So we saw from both of those, God is saying he is the Alpha and the Omega, right? For the one we're reading
Got it.
today and the one we're reading here. But now we got to go to chapter 22.
Let me write this down.
Mm-hmm.
Now you said we got to go to chapter 22.
Yep. And we're reading verse 1 to 13.
Chapter 22, verse 1 to 13. All right. Verse 1. And he showed me a pure river of water of life, clear as crystal, proceeding out of the throne of God and of the Lamb. In the midst of the street of it, and on either side of the river, was there the tree of life, which bare 12 manner of fruits, and yielded her fruit every month. And the leaves of the tree were for the healing of the nations. And there shall be no more curse, but the throne of God and of the Lamb shall be in it, and his servants shall serve him, and they shall see his face, and his name shall be in their foreheads. And there shall be no night there, and they need no candle, neither light or the sun, for the Lord God giveth them light, and they shall reign forever and ever. And he said unto me, these things are faithful and true. And the Lord God of the holy prophets sent his angel to show unto his servants the things which must shortly be done. Behold, I am come. Behold, I come quickly. Blessed is he that keepeth the sayings of the prophecy of this book. And I, John, saw these things and heard them. And when I had heard and seen, I fell down to worship before the feet of the angel which showed me these things. Then saith he unto me, see thou do it not. For I am thy fellow servant, and of thy brethren the prophets, and of them which keep the sayings of this book. Worship God. And he saith unto me, seal not the sayings of the prophecy of this book, for this time is at hand. He that is unjust, let him be unjust still. And he which is filthy, let him be filthy still. And he that is righteous, let him be righteous still. And he that is holy, let him be holy still. And behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me, to give every man according as his work shall be. I am Alpha and Omega,
Oh,
the
my bad. You got to keep
beginning.
going to 16.
Okay, let me read 13.
Mm-hmm.
I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, the first and the last. Blessed are they that do his commandments, that they may have right to do to the tree of life, and may enter in through the gates into the city. For without are dogs, and sorcerers, and whoremongers, and murderers, and idolaters, and whosoever loveth and maketh a lie. I, Jesus, have sent mine angel to testify unto you these things in the churches. I am the root and the offspring of David, and the bright and morning star.
All right. So the reason we had to go to 16 is because I was trying to make sure you got the part where it shows that Jesus is the one speaking. We saw in the Old Testament, in what we're reading today in 41, and we saw in Revelation 21. Who is the Alpha and the Omega?
Back in 21, that would be the Father speaking. Let me go back to it.
Exactly. That was God speaking. It's not till we get to chapter 22 where we have Jesus speaking. But here Jesus says he is the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end, the first and the last. Jesus called himself God by doing that because of what's said in 41 and what's said in 21. But I wanted to point out that because that's literally Jesus calling himself God. I am the Alpha and the Omega. And how do we know? First of all, because it said in 21 from God's perspective, not Jesus' perspective. So the Father was speaking. Well, if one is the Alpha or the Omega, then the other one can't be the Alpha or Omega if it can only be one. It says in verse 4 of what we read today, who hath wrought and done it, calling the generations from the beginning? I, the Lord, the first and with the last. I am he. I am the first and I am the last. I am the one. I am the one who establishes everything from the beginning to the end. But we literally just read in Revelation Jesus saying that he is the first and the last. So do you see how that works?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought these up.
Yep. And then also look at verse 3.
Verse 3 of what we've been reading, or
Yeah, verse 3.
let me go back.
Oh no. I mean of Revelation 22.
Let me go back to
Sorry.
Revelation. You're good. Verse 3. And there shall be no more curse, but the throne of God and of the Lamb shall be in it, and his servants shall serve him.
Was there a comma there that separated God and Lamb?
No, it wasn't.
Was
We have an and to
throne
put them both.
plural or singular?
Throne was singular.
So it's one throne for two people. Sounds about right. That's the second thing that you missed from the original section. Was the connection to Jesus calling himself God and calling himself the first and last, the Alpha and Omega. And God calls himself and says it as he's the only one in verse 4 of our reading today. See what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying. I find it funny that I said it in the joke and then I read it in the verse. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
I said it in my, I said it without knowing that I said it.
All right. Now, any comments or questions about the first section as we go to the second section? Now would be the time to raise your hand. All right, then I will be reading verses 6 to 10 of chapter 41. I'll give everybody a second. All right. Isaiah chapter 41, verse 6 to 10. There goes verse 6. They helped everyone his neighbor, and everyone said to his brother, be of good courage. So the carpenter encouraged the goldsmith, and he that smootheth with the hammer, him that smote with the anvil, or smote the anvil, saying, it is ready for the soldering. and he fastened it with nails, that it should not be moved. But thou, Israel, art my servant, Jacob, whom I have chosen, the seed of Abraham, my friend. Thou, whom I have taken from the ends of the earth, and called thee from the chief men thereof, and said unto thee, Thou art my servant. I have chosen thee, and not cast thee away. Fear thou not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy God. I will strengthen thee. Yea, I will help thee. Yea, I will uphold thee with the right hand of my righteousness. This is interesting the way it phrases it, and I'll go into the explanation as soon as I'm done with saying whether it's connected or not. 6 is not connected to 5. It has similarities, but it's not saying the same thing. The point is not the same. If we look back at what it says in 5, get back there. The isle saw it and feared. The ends of the earth were afraid and drew near and came. That's what it says in 5. So we're talking about how they all realized and they were freaking out because they realized that God had established everything. But when we get into 6, it's talking about how every one of the children of Israel, they're all helping each other. They're being good neighbors. They're being lifting each other up. That's not talking about the same thing. Now, if we talk about the overall subject and the above all subject, yes, we're still talking about the same thing. About God being the one who's in domination and control. But in the aspect of here, it's how he takes care of his people. That would be the above all. But as the overall, no, the overall, we're not even talking about the same thing either. Because in 6, it's not actually talking about God being dominant at all. It's only talking about the people taking care of each other. So even the overall for this portion is not connected either. It's only the above all. All right. Now, as towards sections, we talked about being help to each other, being a good help in lifting each other up. 7 says the same exact thing. And then in 8, we get a switch up. We're not talking about lifting each other up anymore in 8. What we are talking about is God choosing the children of Israel. In 9, we go into the same. In 10, we are minority connected because we're still discussing the people who God has chosen, but it's not the same subject for the direct point. The overall for 8 through 10 are the same, but the direct point is different in 10 than it is from 8 and 9. So if we're doing sections, it would be 6 and 7, then 8 and 9, and then 10. Does that make sense, Charles?
Yes, and I'm writing it down as well.
All right. Now, as towards the explanation, pretty self-explanatory between 6 and 7, that the ones that God has established and set up, they are comforting each other. Talking about how they're helping each other, trying to lift each other up from different occupations, from different walks of life. But then it specifies in verse 8, as we go to the next section for 8 and 9, that, yeah, all these different groups, they help each other. However, Israel, Jacob, the lineage of Abraham, was selected special, even out of all them. That, yeah, you might have the neighbor helping one another. You might have people trying to do right by each other outside of it. But for the children of Israel, they're chosen special even outside of that. And it points out the seed of Abraham. Since it points out the seed of Abraham, what is it about Abraham that is specially chosen, Charles? This is something you would only know from something I've told you. But it's the most likely meaning behind pointing that out.
I'm still writing something down, so I don't have it at the moment.
All right. So it brings up of the seed of Abraham. Well, the seed of Abraham only matters to one thing in the Bible: the lineage to Christ, being God's chosen people. That's the only thing that really matters. Because what makes them special outside of that lineage to Christ? Not a dang thing. They were unfaithful to God. They rejected God. As a matter of fact, they fall off the branches and have to come to Christ to be put back into the branch. So what's special about them? Their lineage. That's what's special about them. It points out the seed of Abraham, which could just be listing lineage, but more likely, because of what we know from the Bible, it's more given the relevancy to what their chosen specialty is. That's the lineage that he chose. And it gives why. Because it says, the seed of Abraham, my friend. That shows the relationship between God and Abraham and how he looks at it. And part of why he chose the seed of Abraham. Because Abraham was considered a friend to God in God's eyes. And then he points out in verse 9, thou whom I have taken from the ends of the earth, out of all the earth, all over the earth, I chose you. You are my servant that I chose, that I did not cast away. So because I didn't cast you away, in verse 10, we go into, don't be afraid. I am with you. I am your God. I'll be your strength. I'll strengthen you. And I will be your help. And I will uphold you with the right hand of my righteousness. So in 8 and 9 is talking about them being chosen. But in 10, we're not talking about them being chosen. We're talking about how they shouldn't be worrying about anything because of them being chosen. So though it is minority connected for the part of being chosen, it is majority disconnected because it's not actually about being chosen at all. It's about having faith in God and standing firm in your beliefs. But there is another side point that I think needs to be brought up in 10. Just like what we had before, it does correlate to New Testament. Charles, I'll give you about a minute till 7:24. Unless it changes quickly, then we'll say 7:25, which would be
For the
6:25 your time.
for that
Trying to figure
correlation
out
to
what
New
the side
Testament.
point. Yep.
Oh, the side point. Yep. Let me reread. Fear thou not,
Mm-hmm.
for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy God. I will strengthen thee. Yea, I will help thee. Yea, I will uphold thee with the right hand of my righteousness. It didn't turn quickly. You want to give me till 25?
Yep.
Let me think about it. I don't got it at the moment.
All right. Then Hebrews chapter 1, verse 8 to 13.
Hebrews chapter 1, 8 to 13. Let me read verse 8. But unto the Son he saith, Thy throne, O God, is forever and ever. A scepter of righteousness is the scepter of thy kingdom. Thou hast loved righteousness and hated iniquity. Therefore, God, even thy God, hath anointed thee with the oil of gladness above thy fellows. And thou, Lord, in the beginning hast laid the foundation of the earth, and the heavens are the works of thine hands. They shall perish, but thou remainest, and they all shall wax old as does a garment, and as a vesture shalt thou fold them up, and they shall be changed. But thou art the same, and thy years shall not fail. But to which of the angels said he at any time, Sit on my right hand until I make thine enemies thy footstool?
Read the beginning of 8 one more time.
Hebrews chapter 1, verse 8. But unto the Son he saith, Thy throne, O God, is forever and ever. A scepter of
Unto
righteousness.
No, no,
Oh,
that was
sorry.
good. That was good. I
Okay.
said the beginning. But unto who? Unto the Son he saith, Thy throne, O God. He just called the Son God. And we know we're talking to the Son in this statement from God. So let's say into 13, still in that context, and then it points out in 13. Say 13 one more time.
13. But to which of the angels said he at any time, Sit on my right hand until I make thine enemies thy footstool?
Sit where?
Sit on my right hand.
Now let's go back to verse 10 of our reading. And read that out loud.
Fear thou not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy God. I will strengthen thee. Yea, I will help thee. Yea, I will uphold thee with the right hand of my righteousness.
Do you notice it now?
Let me jump back to Hebrews.
There's only one thing that connected.
I just got to remember jumping back and forth, back and forth.
Mm.
Here, I'll use Zoom. I will
Give you a few
uphold thee
more
with
seconds
the
before I just tell it to you.
I will uphold thee with the right hand of my righteousness.
Mm-hmm. All right, do you get what connects? Charles?
Is that why you brought up Hebrews verses 8 to 13? How God had the scepter of the righteousness scepter of righteousness is the scepter of thy kingdom. When you're talking about that with the connect, or just this whole section with the connection of
Charles.
10.
Read 13 one more time. Come on, bro.
But to the angels which but to which of the angels
To
said he
which?
at
Yeah, not to them.
to to which of the angels said he at any time, Sit on my right hand until I make thy enemies thy footstool?
Exactly.
Didn't we already talk about this a while ago, about when this was said, this was the Father talking to Jesus about this? Sit on my right hand. Make thy enemies a footstool.
Yeah, so how does that connect to 10?
So
Oh
how
my
does it connect to
goodness.
10? Let me go back.
Charles.
So
No, enough. Jesus is the right hand. It's very plain, bro. Jesus is the right hand of God. It's pointing out, I will uphold thee with the right hand of my righteousness. Who out of the angels did God tell to sit on my right hand? That's not a legitimate question. That's a provoking question. He said to the Son, "O God, thy throne," to the Son. That was to give you the context point. In other words, no angel was told to sit on the right hand of God. Only the Son. That wasn't that difficult. Even in verse 10 of Isaiah, the children of Israel will be upheld by the right hand of righteousness. In other words, Christ is what upholds them. Does that make sense?
got it now.
Do you understand how it connects? Or do I need
Now
to
that you
explain
brought
further?
no, you brought it up. I was just trying to keep up with everything. Reading this, reading that, keeping up. I wasn't able to catch it in time.
I mean, I can't give you that, Charles. I can't. Because it literally said the right hand of righteousness. Nothing in Hebrews 8 matched anything in 10 except for one phrase at the right hand. And it was word for word in both. So can
But you
your
don't.
reading really excuse your inability to catch that one that you were trying to
Well,
read and keep up? Is that really a legitimate excuse? I gotta
it's
say
not an
no.
excuse. It's not an excuse. I'm just letting you know that I got to do better, of course, but it's not an excuse. I just got to do better.
No, no, no. It
Yeah,
is
don't.
this.
What I just
Okay,
what I just said
don't get it
earlier, I
twisted.
wasn't
Excuse
saying
does
it
not
as an
mean bad
excuse.
thing. Don't get it twisted. Excuse just means a reason for why something happens. Excuses can be legitimate, whether it's a legitimate excuse or not. Because you brought up about you reading and trying to keep up as part of the reason that you couldn't catch it. That by definition is an excuse. It means the same thing as a reason for why something is happening. That's what an excuse is. So don't twist the understanding of what I'm saying on even on accident. It is an excuse, but the reason it's not a legitimate excuse is because, and this is something to keep in mind for your to help you later. If I'm having you correlate to another verse, especially from another section, then there's two things you should be keeping your eyes on. One is if the overall point connects to anything to it, and two is if the direct words or phrase connect to anything to it. Those are real quick hints that'll help you to be able to catch it easier. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's what you're saying.
Because when we read in verse 10 as like the final example for when it said the right hand, and you will read in Hebrews 1, verse 8 to 13, the only part that even read the same was being on the right hand. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
So trying to keep up was not legitimate reasoning for not catching it in this specific instance. So that's something to keep in mind and future reference as a tool for yourself. So, anyways, we got another reference to Christ. Now, any comments or questions as we go to the final section for today? Now would be the time to raise your hands. All right, then, Charles, go ahead and finish us out.
All right. I'll be reading Isaiah chapter 41, verses 11 to 14. Verse 11. Behold, all they that were in incest, incest against thee shall be
Try that
ashamed and
again.
confound
Try that again.
in, in incense.
Yeah. Not incest, Charles. This is not a mom trying to be with her son or a brother trying to
Oh,
be
is
with
that
a
how it came
sister.
out? Is that how it came out?
That is exactly because you did not enunciate the N at all the first two times.
Oh, then
You
let
said
me yeah.
incest.
Yeah, let
Yeah,
me
it's
try to get that in
incensed.
my lips, man. My lips is not
You
helping
did it
me right
right the
now.
third time, but I was like, oh no, first I was like, Charles, you gotta redo
Yeah,
that.
let me redo it.
Make sure to
Ver-
emphasize the in the incensed.
I got you. Verse 11. Behold, all they that were incensed against thee shall be ashamed and confounded. They shall be as nothing, and they that strive with thee shall perish. Thou shalt seek them, and shalt not find them, even them that contended with thee. They that war against thee shall be as nothing, and as a thing of naught. For I, the Lord thy God, will hold thy right hand, saying unto thee, Fear not, I will help thee. Fear not, thou warm Jacob. That's not warm, sorry. Let me read 14. Fear not, thou worm Jacob, and ye men of Israel. I will help thee, saith the Lord, and thy Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel. So starting off, above all connected, but not a direct connection, if that makes sense. Verse 11, 12, all the way down. Not a we got different what's the word? Direct main points here, but the above all is still this like connected. That's connected.
Good.
And for sections I got make sure I do this right. It looks 11, 12, first section, 13 and 14, second section.
Nope.
Let me go back. Would you separate 13 and 14?
Nope.
You actually separated 11 and 12?
Nope.
So 11, we got those that'll come against you are of nothing, and they'll perish. 12, you shall seek them and shall not find them, even them that contended with thee. So the ones that want to go to contend it, because I could have sworn that's like the ones that went against you. You can't find them.
Mhm.
They that war against you are of nothing. So I got that sounds like the same.
It does.
Oh, we have the reason in 13 for I the Lord thy God will hold thy right hand, saying unto thee, Fear not, I will help thee. No, so
Exactly.
I can't separate. We have the reason why they are of nothing. So 11, 12, and
So
13
is
would
a
be
direct point different from 11, 12, 13, or 14?
not no, not well, no, because God's there. God's pretty much no, that not really, because you got 11 and 12 is the how they're not going to come against you. 13 is the why.
Not just that. It's not just that they're not going to come against you. What does it say right towards the middle? They shall be as nothing. If I'm telling you your enemies are not going to be as they're going to be the same as like they're not going to be nothing. What am I trying to do to you? How am I trying to impact you?
You're impacting me by making sure when you're telling me that the impact is I can move with confidence. I'm not fearful anymore. I can have trust. I can
Exactly. I'm trying to help you to not be afraid.
right.
If I tell you everyone that's tried to fight against you, everyone that's done anything trying to be contending, warring against you, you ain't even gonna be able to find them. What is the impact and what is the goal of saying that to someone?
Repeat that question one more time.
What is the goal and impact of saying that to someone?
Saying no, say that part too. Sorry, say that whole part and then say the question.
Oh, oh, like in 12, that all your enemies, everyone who tried to come against you, you're not going to even be able to find them. They might as well be nothingness itself.
The impact of that is like we feel safe, we're reassured, we're secure, we're good. That's how you're
In
feeling
other
when
words, not
when
feeling fear.
not feeling fear, right?
Then what does it say in 13?
The reason because God is going to be right. God holding thy right hand. God is there with you.
And what does it say at the last part of that verse?
Fear not, I will help thee.
Fear not. Okay. Then what does it say in verse 14?
Fear not, thou worm Jacob. So he's saying it again. And ye men of Israel.
So
Then God is. Oh, go
is
ahead.
there any difference in the main direct point of verse 1, verse 11, 12, 13, or 14? Is there any difference in their main points at all?
No, no, no.
You see
When
what
we
I'm saying?
simplify it that way, yeah. So then everything would be the section. Because what he's getting at with 11, 12, 13, and 14 is don't fear. Fear not. I got your back. I'm
Exactly.
helping you. Don't worry about those other people that came against you. They're nothing.
Exactly. Good. That's the difference between looking at it for the details versus looking at it for the points. You see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying.
All right, now go ahead and explain.
Oh, I would. I'm just gonna re-say what I just said about how God is talking about in this situation. Doesn't matter who comes against you. I'm right there with you, and I'll help you. So fear not. Don't worry about those that came against you. They're of nothing. They're of dust. Dust in the wind. Don't worry about them. He
Good.
did bring up something interesting in 14. I should probably bring up because he brought
Yes, you
up,
should.
saith the Lord and thy Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel. The Lord and the Holy One of there's only one Holy One of Israel we've been reading about, which is Jesus. So
Exactly.
God and Jesus is going to be the one that's there. God and Jesus is going to be the one that helps you. Don't fear.
There's one other interesting part that needs to be brought up in 14.
Other than the Holy One of Israel, the way he called it, "Thou worm Jacob," is that what you were thinking about?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The way I'm reading that is when you say thou worm Jacob, you're just when I think of worm, what do I think of? You're just this little thing in the soil. You're feeble. You're weak.
Exactly. This is the second
Calling Jacob.
time
Oh, go ahead. Go
that
ahead. My
God has
bad.
referred to people as insects. With the grasshoppers before being the inhabitants of the earth, and with Jacob or the children of Israel being a worm. So we're depicting them as feeble, small, and weak. That's what we're depicting them as. Now, this is important for a couple reasons. For one, if I were to compare calling Jacob a worm when you consider the society and everything they were at the time to today, that's like calling somebody a peon in your perspective, Charles.
I'm
You
still
are the
listening.
insect. No, no, I got you.
Oh, my bad.
You
It
are
was that cut. My bad.
trying to think of how to say it. God is basically saying, I'm here for you, you tiny insect beneath my feet. You may be my chosen, but you are an insect in comparison to me. But I'm still here for you. You know what that shows a little bit? That show actually, you know what? Actually, I'm gonna put it as an actual question, not a rhetorical. Charles, what does that show from God's perspective? How he said all this stuff I'm gonna be here for, but then he calls them a worm.
What does it show?
Hmm.
It No, no, I won't use that. Let me put my words together. Well, okay, so when he's saying that, he's still, using that to say, like, even though I'm helping you, even though I'm still there, you're still also in there. You're like the dust, or like a speck. You're you're
Yeah,
only significant because of what we brought up in the context about you being Abraham's seed. Separate from that, you're insignificant. Isn't it in that way? I'm trying to make sure I get the right
yeah,
words out.
exactly. Exactly. He's showing Jacob or the children of Israel that if not for you being part of Abraham's seed, don't get it twisted. You're not special. You don't matter. If it wasn't for the fact of you being part of Abraham's seed and Abraham, who was my friend, if not for that, you are basically a worm to me. That's how I look at you in comparison. And to make that comparison, what it shows is more than just that, Charles. Because in what type of situation would somebody go out of their way when they're in the midst of telling another person that they'll be there for them when they need it? What type of mentality or perspective focused on is that person having if you're going to belittle somebody calling them an insect or a worm as you're also telling them that you will be there to protect them, so they shouldn't be afraid?
That mentality, I think about something that I deal with personally. If it wasn't for this, and this, I wouldn't even be here to help you. I wouldn't be here to do this. I wouldn't. It's because of this, and this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. Like, with God's
Exactly.
perspective, because of Abraham being my friend, because of the relationship with Abraham, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. For
But you're
me, it
still
may
not
be
talking about his mentality or his perspective focus. You're just repeating what I said. I said those things. What does that show
so.
about God's mentality or perspective focus?
So it could, nah, because then I'll just reword what I just said. I got to get the right words out for this. I'm trying. I'm almost there.
Give it 30 seconds. Actually, I'll give it till
No,
49.
I was gonna say give it 10. Give it 10. Let me try to get this right. So I want to make sure I get the right words out.
Yeah, go ahead. All right, time's up. You got it?
No, go ahead.
I don't want to be here for you. That's the perspective that it shows in the mentality. I don't want to be here for you. I don't want to be your support, but I will because of Abraham. I will because of my servant David. What it shows is God's fed upness and frustration for again with the children of Israel after everything they've been through.
Got it.
Because anytime somebody, no matter what the subject is, I don't care what the subject is, if I'm ever belittling you, talking about how small you are in the midst or something degrading you in the midst of me telling you I'm going to be there for you, I'm telling you I don't want to be there for you. I had this happen when I was working at Gate Gourmet. You know how I feel about if somebody does wrong to me, I go to them directly. We deal with the
Right.
problem head on, get past it, and move on. I get talked to from the management to tell me, not ask, to tell me to stop doing it. And then I say, okay, fine. That's not how I prefer to do things, but okay, cool. Fine, I'll do that from now on. And they were questioning, like, well, what do you mean? I was like, well, I'm here to do a job. It's not my company, it's your company. So I'll do it as you ask. I disagree with it, but I'll do it. And they was like, well, I mean, I don't want you to just like just disagree with it. Like, I don't want to just be like that. I was like, what do you mean? I'm just a worker here. I'm doing it because it's my job. And the whole entire time I'm saying this, I'm not saying that I'm doing it and I'm going to be happy to do it. I'm pointing out that I'm doing it because I have to, not because I want to. Because I've made a commitment here to work this job, and it's your job. It's your company, not mine. You're the management, not me. It's like, but by me pointing that out, I'm letting you know, no, I'm not okay with this. Why would I ever be okay with a snitch personality type, a snitch type behavior? That's unacceptable to me. If you were to deal with things heads on, respectfully, come to me directly, we could have fixed the problem and not even worry about it and move on from it. So whether we're talking about people or even circumstances or business or no matter what, if I'm ever belittling something or degrading or talking down about something at the same time where I'm saying I'm agreeing to do something or I'm gonna do it, I'm telling you I don't want to. And that's true no matter who's doing it. If you point out something wrong with something at the same moment you're saying, okay, but I'll do it, you're saying you don't want to do it. Same with God here. And it's understandable why God would feel that way. I mean, think about it, Charles. Should God even have to say what is being said here in 11 through 14?
No. What's funny is well, he hasn't said this, but he said this point before. It's already
Hmm.
been said before, so no, he really doesn't have to.
Imagine you told Chad that if you're ever stranded, I will pick you up. And then later on, he gets mad at you because he was stranded over at Sunset Park and he never called you and he was mad that he had to walk home. You respond to him saying, I told you if you ever are stranded, just call me. I'll come pick you up if it's an emergency situation. But he never called you. If I tell you not to be afraid in a situation and I find you afraid, that's an irritation to me. Because that means you didn't take me at my word. You didn't believe me. You doubted me. Don't doubt me. I'm the most straightforward person you'll ever meet. Don't doubt what I say. If I say something, I meant it. The only exception is if I'm joking about something or if I misheard something. If it was a miscommunication. That's it. Outside of that, if I said something, I meant it. So, same with God. How many times does he have to tell the children of Israel that I'll be there for you? As long as you're doing the right thing, as long as you're trying to do the right thing, I'll be here for you. How many times? So it's understandable why he's calling Jacob this worm, this feeble thing, in the midst of trying to say that he's going to protect them. Not a surprise. All right, does that make sense, Charles?
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right. Now then, any comments or questions before we pray out from the Bible study portion? Now would be the time to raise your hands. All right. Then I'll go ahead and pray us out. Everybody bow your heads. Father, Thank you for this time of study we've been able to see, where even in the midst of when we're seeing you talk about how you'll be there for them, and even how you're talking to the enemies of the children of Israel, how they better not step out of line and your capabilities. We can see your frustration with Jacob. We can see your expressiveness of what you were feeling or what your mindset was at the time, and how frustrated you had to have been when this was going on, when you're explaining everything to Isaiah. I mean, this is literally just before the captivity, this time frame. So everything had to have been bubbling up. And we just pray, God, that unlike the children of Israel in this time frame, let us never get you to the point that you ever have to feel that way that you felt when you called Jacob or the children of Israel a worm, even in the midst of saying you'll protect them. Let our trust on our faith and our faithfulness shine forth strong enough, consistently enough, so that you never have to feel like we ever doubt you. And you never have to feel the frustration of repeating yourself again and again, showing yourself true again and again, all because of our unfaithfulness. In your Son's holy and precious name, Jesus Christ Yeshua. Amen.
Amen.
All right. Now, tonight's Bible listening is from Hosea chapter 7. I went too far. Okay, there we go. Hosea chapter 7 to Amos chapter 9. Again, Hosea chapter 7 to Amos chapter 9. Let me know when you got it, Charles.
Got it.
All right. Now, last night's listening was Daniel chapter 5 to Hosea chapter 6. And Charles, go ahead first with what stuck out to you, and then I will go next with what stuck out to me.
Let me go to mine. I got Daniel chapter 6, verses 19 to 24. Now, the detail I remember out of this was Daniel being saved. Basically Daniel 6. This is when some men were setting up Daniel.
The
Daniel
lion.
worshiping
Yep.
God, and the men setting him up, and the king, because of a decree, and the king saying, "Okay, we'll set up this decree because of this. Daniel needs to be in that cage with the lions." But the lion never killed Daniel. God protected Daniel. What I didn't remember from this detail was after this, the king made a new decree, and the men that were setting up Daniel for this situation, the king put those men in the cage with their wives and their kids, and the
Yeah.
lions tore them up. That's one thing I was like, whoa. It was just a detail I totally just forgot about. It blew my mind. The kids too. Yep, the kids too.
Mhm. All right, anything else?
Nah, that's it. Just remembering that was very
It
interesting.
goes to show a point then. When God said that a son will not bear the iniquity of the father, nor the father bear the iniquity of the son. That was not talking about that consequences will not impact your children. That's not the context of it at all. If it was, then we got contradictions like that all throughout the Bible. It is if it is the case that consequences impacting children means that the sin from the father is on the child, then if that's what that is talking about, the Bible literally says that I'm visiting the iniquity of the father on the sons to the third and fourth generation. So if that means that, then we got contradictions all throughout the Bible. But if it means what contextually sound meaning means, that the sin that they do, whether they're condemned to the lake of fire or going to paradise in heaven, if it means that it's talking about salvation related, that you're only going to hell or going to heaven based on what you choose to do and be, then there is no contradiction. Because visiting the sins of the father on the sons to the third and fourth generation, if you're talking about impact from the sins, and if you're not saying that the bearing the iniquity is talking about that, then it's not a contradiction. But if we are saying that the bearing the iniquity means like the impact from it, then we're born with sin, number one. Number two, God's a liar, if that's the case. And number three, the Bible is full of hypocrisy. Because we see multiple places, just like what you just read, Charles, where the children either are killed or something else happens because of the sins of their fathers or their great grandfathers or so on. I mean, God himself wiped out or condemned entire later generations of people of the Amorites and of also of the different people from the not Hezekiah, but like there was like 3 generations after him where they were not going to be able to be on the throne after those 3 generations. You condemned everybody else afterwards because of what that first person said, unless we get that accurate context meaning. When it says the sins of the father are not on the son, that the son doesn't bear the sins of the father, nor does the father bear the sins of the son, it's not saying that they don't feel the impact, that it doesn't impact them. And it would be a contradiction provable in life. Charles, if a father murders somebody, will that impact his children?
Yeah, in real world, only in real world stuff. Yeah, because he's not there for his
Yeah.
children. But that's it.
Well, no, but that's the point. Is if we
Yeah.
take that verse where it says the sins of the father are not, or the son does not bear the sins of the father, nor does the father bear the sins of the son. If we take that as meaning there's no impact on them at all, we now have that contradiction and it makes the whole Bible debunked, because that would mean in real life something is provable, debunking the Bible. But if we take it in context for what it actually means, as towards condemnation or paradise, the impact of that is not only that there's no more contradiction from it, but also that you can't be born with sin. You're not even in sin until you actually commit a sin. And you're not even accountable to that sin until you have the understanding and ability to understand right from wrong. As seen from Adam and Eve, as seen from what Jesus said to the Pharisees. If you were blind, you should have no sin. But you say you can see, therefore your sin remains. His own words. So that's why that matters, and why what you brought up about the children being killed too. Yeah. There's some impact if we don't get proper context. And there's a greater impact if we do get proper context. Now then, on to mine. And mine's in chapter 12, verse 1 to 3. Daniel chapter 12, verse 1 to 3. And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people. And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never since there was a nation, even that same time, and at that time thy people shall be delivered, everyone that shall be found in the book. And many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, and some to shame and everlasting contempt. What this proves, and why it stood out to me, is it proves that when you die, you don't go to heaven. Not immediately. That paradise, as Jesus told the thief on the cross, you'll be with me in paradise. Paradise is not heaven, unless we're using it as an adjective and not a noun, not an actual place. Paradise is in the underworld, and it's a side of it where everything is good. All is well, no sickness, nothing but joy, no pain, no sorrow, no, not even sighing. And on the other side of the underworld is Tartarus, or torture, or in the Hebrew, bore. That is the side where everything's painful. Some people call it purgatory, some people don't. Some renditions of purgatory say that in purgatory you go through that and you have the opportunity to be saved. No, you don't. This is literally just saying that when they're brought back, all those who have died are brought up, they're made awake, and then some wake up to everlasting life and the others to everlasting contempt. So we literally have the depiction of a paused time prior to the final judgment where everybody who's dead comes back to is woken up, whether spiritually alive or whatever. Okay, but even if not, they come back, and then the side that's going to heaven goes to heaven, the side that goes to hell goes to hell. We see in the Bible, in the New Testament, let alone in the Old Testament, that it specifies that we're judged by every word we say and everything we do. And that is the effort that we make that shows whether or not where we're going. We're not earning our salvation, but our behavior shows whether or not we even have it. Because if you truly believe in Christ, if you truly have faith and have really accepted him, obeyed the gospel the whole nine, you're going to be making effort to try to follow him rather than excuses. So that's why this stuck out to me, because it proved about the pause time in the Old Testament. So now it's not just New Testament. Old Testament also showed that we don't go straight to heaven and hell. I mean, we don't go straight to heaven and the lake of fire after we die. There's a pause time where you're in paradise or torture, and then you go to heaven or lake of fire after Judgment Day. All right, Charles, got anything you want to add?
No, that was a good one.
Mm-hmm. You know what I was going to do with 7? At
You
the end
was
of
gonna
7,
do 7?
I was going to do 7, the very last verse.
What was at the end of 7?
Hitherto is
It's
the end of the
end
matter.
doesn't matter.
As for me, Daniel, my cogitations, much troubled, and my countenance changed. Much troubled me, and my countenance changed in me. But I kept the matter in my heart. When he said this is the end of the matter, that's the end of everything he was writing about that subject. That stuck out to me because it's not the last chapter of the book. So when these idiots who try to claim that because the reason they say that it's not Daniel writing is because the time frame is not accurate on when it's written and the different things that happen and back and forth, I'm like, you're an idiot because you're reading it like it's chronological. It literally just said this is the end of the matter here, and then it goes into a whole different subject. Daniel was not chronologically written. It's a whole bunch of different things, subjects from the same person that are put together in one book. But you can tell as you read it, they're not chronologically in order. So there is no contradiction with it being Daniel writing it or his scribe and he's the one speaking. But anyways, now then, Charles, anything you want to add or say before we close it out?
Nah.
All right. Have a good night. I don't know why I said it like that. I really don't know why I said it like that.
That's why I was like, I was trying to hold the laugh in.
Sometimes it just comes out.
Oh man, have a safe night, man.
No.
I know.
Bye.